I'm so excited to be here from our Durham office with Sean. Sean, why don't you introduce yourself, your company, your role to get started?
Thanks for having me. My name is Sean Bolden. I'm a senior private cloud engineer with LabCorp. Our team is responsible for the entire virtualization stack at LabCorp globally.
Awesome. I think most people are familiar with who LabCorp is, but why don't you give us an overview of the organization and what your current environment looks like today?
So LabCorp is a life sciences company. We have world-class diagnostics. We also have global drug development. Currently, we have approximately 1,000 Nutanix nodes and around 15,000 VMs around the globe.
That's great. Tell us the impact that you had when you deployed Nutanix cloud infrastructure on your applications and your application teams.
So we had standard enterprise level 3-tier architecture. So we had a compute layer, networking layer, and a storage layer. We had already proven Nutanix in the VDI world. So as we started migrating other applications to Nutanix blocks, we realized there's a big performance gain. So we made the choice to fully replace all of our 3-tier architecture with Nutanix. In doing that, you always start with your dev test environment. So we took one of our main data centers, we replaced our entire dev test environment. We realized the database teams, the web teams were all starting to come to us and say, why is my dev test environment outperforming my production environment?
That's not something you hear every day.
Yeah, the impact was dramatic and immediate. And as we completed that project, one of the things we realized is we've now leveled the playing field for everybody. You don't have a difference between your dev and test environment, which may have less expensive, lower performing 3-tier architecture than what you would dedicate to a 3-tier architecture for production. Now, everything is the same. You don't expect any differences across your entire stack of your application.
That's great. In an environment of your size, lifecycle management and upgrades generally is a challenge for organizations.
Absolutely.
Tell us what that looks like at LabCorp now.
So, of course, LCM and one-click upgrades. When you go back to the 3-tier architecture, you realize we used to live in a world of compatibility matrix nightmares. Mm-hmm. And you looked at every layer, your compute, your storage, and your networking layer, and firmware upgrades, BIOS upgrades, whatever you needed to apply to keep them current, security patching for that environment. And if you made any mistakes along the way, you could possibly take down an entire environment. LCM resolves all that for us. It looks at your hardware, it says these are the appropriate BIOS upgrades, firmwares for this world, upgrade, done. You can also do that during business hours as opposed to weekend work, off-hour work, out-of-band, evening work, because there's no disruption. It manages the entire upgrade of the host, moving of the VMs, and in the end, once you're done, it's fully upgraded.
That's life-changing for you and your team,
Absolutely.
Especially on the weekends and nights and holidays. And it sounds like the complexity has been taken out. Is LabCorp using any automation or orchestration tools in their environment today?
So we recently had a project that we reviewed all of the major players in the automation world. Some were very basic. Most products can produce a VM easily, but can you do it with governance? Can you audit it? Can you have an audit trail of what steps did it apply scripts? What did it do when it produced that VM? And some of the products were also required maybe an entire team to manage that product. Well, I don't want to hire 10 new developers just to be able to produce VMs. Right. So obviously we have a great partnership with Nutanix. We looked at Nutanix Cloud Manager. It fit into it's part of Prism, so it fit into our world. It's part of our life cycle, so we can upgrade it with LCM as we upgrade Prism. And that's what we're actively deploying and looking at automating at the moment.
That's great. That's going to help your environment tremendously as well. You guys are part of the design feedback team. Tell us a little bit about that and how that's had an impact on your organization.
So the Design Partner Program has been one of the most successful programs I've been involved in with a vendor in my 26 years. The developers actively are looking for feedback to understand how things are used at scale in Prism and all the products included in Prism. We like to help them understand what's important, what do we need, and what actually is hindering us, and how we can make that better. And we then see them apply those design changes in future releases that actually solve our problems.
That's great, and thank you for being part of that and giving feedback that can impact all of our customers globally. Sean, do you have any closing comments or thoughts from our conversation today?
Yes, I'd like to thank Nutanix for our partnership. I also want to give a shout out to Nutanix Support. Nutanix Support is one of the key pieces of our vendor relationship of why we love working with Nutanix. Our time to resolution for tickets is the shortest with Nutanix than with all of our other vendors. And short being minutes and hours, not days and weeks. That's a big issue when you have production outages. You want that time to be the shortest possible.
Absolutely. Sean, thank you so much for your time today. I've enjoyed getting to know you and your organization. It sounds like Nutanix Cloud Infrastructure and other solutions have had a great impact to your team.